I'll record to the cloud too, so then when I get back into my shop, if I have to re-edit something, I'll have that one as well. Anyway, back to the discs. These are quick and easy. We can do them on a lathe, and if there's people standing there watching you, in a matter of a couple of minutes, you can make one and hand it to them, and they walk away really happy. Another little simple one is this. I call it my Silouette tree. I don't know if you'll be able to see the silhouette, but the stem of the tree follows the shape of the outside. So whatever you shape the outside, when you're doing the parting tool cuts in it, you try and mimic the shape of the outside, and it kind of it just gives it a nice look when it's on the tree. And then the third one I'm going to try and do, if we got time, and I'm sure we'll have time, is a little bell. And there's 3 or 4 parts. I got a piece of leather, a little ball, the bell body, and the handle, and that's what I'm going to attempt to make today. Earlier, Earl was mentioning about his lanterns that he makes, and I make a similar kind of lantern. I don't put 4 holes in it. I put only 3, so I got room to put my logo on the back. And it's got 3 holes, and when it's hanging on a tree, it reflects the light. The back wall reflects the light out into the room, so it makes it really, really nice. And another reason I did that was because I hate measuring. And when I tried doing them by measuring, like other people had suggested, my fat fingers or fat pencil doesn't work very good. So I had too many failures with not getting the little legs the right size. So I switched to my method. I won't have time to make one of these in demonstration today, but I do have a video where I make them, and it takes me about 45 minutes on that video. But just a quick rundown on a lot of people, when they're making lanterns, wanted to start with square wood. Well, a lot of my wood isn't. It's just cookies off of a log that's been cut and dried for a number of years, and I just chop them up into pieces. Or usually I'll find out where the checks are, and I'll just break the log off where the checks are, and I have a little disc. And as long as the piece is bigger than this disc, it'll make a lantern. And then I do all my turning to round on the lathe, and then I index and mark with the lathe, and then take them to a drill press jig and drill the 3 holes. And I got a little layout stick here, story stick for when I turn it round, I can measure off where to put the index line. But I've got a video on YouTube on how to make these, and if you're interested, watch that video. Another one I've done, and I don't think we'll have time to make today, but it's been really popular. I think I've made about 150 of these last year. It's a little candle ornament. Everybody loves them. There's 3 pieces of wood, and there's a little bit of fun trying to mount everything, but we'll see if we have time. I'll even get to that one. But primarily today, I'm going to try and make the disc, the tree, and the bell. So without further ado, I'll move this stuff out of the way. And if you guys have any questions at all, by all means, just holler at Earl and he'll pass the question on, and we'll try and answer it if I can. Okay, I'm going to put myself up in the corner here so you'll be able to see kind of what I'm doing. And if the camera views are not the kind that you like, I'll go through the camera views that I have available. There's the headstock view, which I'll probably use the most. There's the tailstock view. I can adjust that a little bit. And there's the presenter view. So I'll probably use the headstock view most of the time. And get started. Because I might be a little strapped for time, I'm going to just rough things to round really, really quickly. I'll probably rough 3 or 4 blanks to round. You've all seen somebody turn something to round, but I'll just blast through these so that they're so the blanks are ready for the next project as well. I just blank them to round, rough them to round. I don't really worry too much about about the smoothness, because I'll do that when I go to finish the project. And again, with all these small pieces of wood, I very seldom worry about lining up the center. I just guess at it, and after a while, you get pretty good at it.
What kind of lathe are you turning on?
I'm turning on a Vicmark 300.
Thank you.
When I'm doing a production run of these, I generally don't even turn the lathe off in between them. But sometimes that takes a little bit of, it can get a little exciting sometimes. Okay, as I said, I don't normally worry about roughing them down too much at this stage. I just get them round enough to put a tenon on, because I like to turn most of the things in a tenon, a little more secure, and it lets you work on the outside end. So we'll swap this out to, I use a Talon chuck with tower jaws. They have a dovetail on the inside, and it just seems to work really well for these little ornaments. Like I said, we're going to do the disc ornament first. So mount the mount a piece. It's roughly about 2 inches or a little less. It doesn't really matter what the diameter is, because you're just going to make a disc, and you're going to hang a hanger on it and put it on a tree. So if it's out 1/4 of an inch, it doesn't really matter. So we'll just face off the end. Go ahead.
I said, very true.
Yep. Well, I like making these little ornaments, especially when there's kids watching, because they can see the embellishment happen on the end. And for embellishment, I use one of these 2 tools. I'll either use a little decorating elf, just a tool with a burr in it, or a what do you call it, chatter tool. And they both put on a little different kind of embellishment on here. And the key is you generally try and slow it down to about 500 RPM. And I just anchor the tool on here, and I change the angle this way as I'm putting it on, so that it gives a different look. So there's straight on that way. I'll raise it up a little bit, and that gives a little bit of different, I don't know if you can see that very well. Let's see if I can bring, no, that's as close as I can get there. But it'll show up a little bit better once I get the color on it. And I like to define the embellishment by using a point tool. It just kind of frames the embellishment a little bit. And then to make the circles show up a little bit better, come up with a way of putting a burner to burn these lines in. I made this burner out of piano wire. So it's a piece of piano wire, and I just stuck it in a handle.
Ah.
And it works really, really slick for, you got a little bit of a V groove. The piano wire will fit in the V groove, and it'll darken up the rings. Now I usually got to go a little faster to get this to burn. Then the next thing I do is I slow it down, and I'll take some color. And if I'm doing a demo in front of a bunch of people and there's kids around, I'll even invite one of the kids to come around and we'll turn it really slow, and we'll let them take the pen and they put a little color on it. So that's the base color. We'll throw another little bit of purple on there just for the heck of it. And then you can see there's it brings out the embellishment a lot more with a little bit of color. Now to get the other side of the disc done, I have to put a V groove in the outside perimeter here, about an eighth of an inch in from this edge.
Point tool.
And that little groove is going to serve two purposes. It's going to serve to give me a place to chuck it. And then once we're done doing the embellishment, we're going to put the hanger on it. Well, there's one disc, half done. But because this is so quick and easy, if you're at a market or at a public display, you're already set up. You just turn the second one or turn 3 or 4 off of this stick at the one time. Now we'll use a chatter tool on this one and see what happens. And sometimes with a chatter tool, it's nice just to touch it with even a piece of 220, just something to knock the fuzzies off. And we'll go ahead and put another groove in here. And I guess before I part it off, I better put a little color on it. And whether we want to put the V grooves on here with the parting tool, that's totally up to your own design. That's the beauty of these things, is you can put whatever design you like on them, and every one is unique. I don't know if you can see that on the camera there. I'll show them a little closer when we're all done. So as you can see, it only took a few minutes to make 2 of these, and I can make a whole bunch of them off of this block. And I used it for training. Some young people came over and wanted to make some Christmas ornaments. And so the young girl was about 13 years old, and I showed her how to do one, gave her a block of wood. And 5 minutes later, she came back and says, "Got any more wood? I need to make more." And she ended up making 18 of them in 2 hours. And she was 13 years old and had never worked on a lathe before. Okay, so we'll crank this one here off. I won't turn any more on here, but as you can see, I could probably get 1, 2, 3 more out of the same block of wood.
About how thick is your disc?
The disc is about 3/8 of an inch to a 1/2 inch, but that's not critical. It's if you got really good hardwood, you can make them really thin. And if it's real softwood, you have to leave them a little bit thicker because they're not quite as secure. But now with this groove on here and a dovetail chuck, I put this in the groove and I rotate this around a little bit to make sure that the dovetail is grabbing in the V groove. And then I've got a face here that I can face off. And I face it off and I can put the embellishment on. And I'll just touch it with a little bit of 220 just to smooth it up a little bit. And on this side, I can't remember what I put on the other side. Oh, I think I used the chatter tool on that side. So now we'll change it up and we'll put the chatter tool on one side and we'll put the decorating elf on the other. Then again, the beauty of this is you can put whatever colors you want on it. I'll slow it down a little. One thing I learned that if you slow your wood down, your color sticks last longer. If you go too fast, it actually burns the stick, and it doesn't work very good.
Burns a nib on it. Yep.
And then I don't worry too much about putting anything. I don't even worry too much about sanding the outside of the disc. When I turn it round, I usually use a skew and smooth the outside edge with a skew so that the outside has got a real nice finish on it. But at this time, this one's basically done. So in the interest of time, I won't turn the other one. I thought we'd just show, you can see I don't know if you can see the embellishment on there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so now the trick is how do you hang it on a tree? Well, let's go with this. I just take a pipe cleaner and we wrap the pipe cleaner around. And the first time around, they look pretty good. You know, there's just a little bit of color on there. But then to spice it up a little bit, you get these pipe cleaners, you get the glittery ones and the plain ones. If you happen to grab them in the drill, and just run your fingers out here and grab the end, pull the trigger on the drill. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and then when you take this off, now you've got this nice little spirally thing with different colors. You can mix and match whatever colors you want. And you just lay this in the groove on the disc and spin it around. And then you bend the other end over and you hang it on a tree. So there you go. You just hang that on a tree. And away you go. You can hang that side or that side. But it took me only a few minutes to make this. And if you're doing this at like I say, at a presentation area or a workspace area and people are walking by, you can make one of these and hand it to them, and they've got a keepsake for their trip to wherever you're at. They're quick and easy, and they're real nice for teaching young people how to turn. They
How much are you selling?
How much
you
you
sell
sell
these,
this
when I was selling these for $15 a piece. So it took me about, when I get really into a groove, I'll put a stick long enough, I could probably make 8 of them in about 5 minutes.
at?
Of course, you got to have the lathe and you got to, all the tools and stuff. But the actual time to make them is really easy. And a lot of times I'll use it for skew practice. When I'm going out to lathe to do a project, I'll stick a chunk of wood in and I'll make a half a dozen of these just to get my muscle memory back into turning wood. And then I've got these to finish off later, because all you need to do is put the groove in the edge and part them off. And you get your muscle memory gets into play. So that's fun. So that was quick and easy, and I don't think that took too long.
Nope.
The next one here we're going to try is we'll do the little tree.
Okay, good one. Demonstrate. November.
And this is another one that when Dick was talking with me, he said that he was hoping we could come up with some kind of a demonstration again so that people could make something on the lathe with a minimal amount of tools that would be suitable for like a makerspace. And I think this one is another good one that'll allow us to do that. And I like using a skew, so I'm going to try and use my skew to shape the outside of the tree. And this particular one takes a skew and a parting tool, basically.
Can you change the view?
Change your camera view.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. Thank you. I just should have mentioned that sometimes I get carried away and I can see what's in front of me, but I keep forgetting that people sitting a few thousand miles away can't. I'm not sure what happened on the recording here, but I'm not sure if you guys are, all I can see is you guys. I can't see me right now on my, speaker view. I was going to try and, can you spotlight me? Because I'm recording, but all I'm seeing is you. On the view,
Okay.
you need to, let's see if I can, maybe I can pin myself if that'll help. Okay, can you see a full screen view there?
No, actually, we gotten signed out somehow.
You did.
Just a
Well,
minute.
I'm not sure what happened there. Because I can still see you guys.
Yeah, I'm back in. It's back in now. It just,
Okay, so go up to view. What view are you on?
that's what I'm trying to get to here in a minute. As soon as I can get this stupid,
Top right-hand corner.
yeah, I'm trying to get this cursor to work on mine.
Okay. I just seen my screen flicker and then I looked over and I couldn't see the demonstration going on. I can see you and
There.
I can see my demo.
Well, it shows here, it shows recording, signed in. Okay, view. I'm in the speaker view.
Okay, and you should be able to see me then. No?
Nope. Well, I can see the lathe. We can see your lathe, all right.
Okay.
I can see you
Okay.
now. I can see you fine too.
Okay, but I can't see you on the recording, so I need to,
Right corner.
what do we do here? Can you pin me? Can you go up to, click on the image that you can see of me? And I think do a right click or click on the corner. There should be 3 little dots and pin it, and that'll open it up so it's full screen.
I just pinned it.
Can you see a full screen?
I can see you full screen.
Okay, that's what we need. That's what we need.
And I got you up in a little pin in the right-hand corner.
Okay, that's what we need. I'm wondering why I can't see that on mine, because I should have been able to. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we got a full view of you, and I got you in, got the lathe in full view overhead, full overhead right now.
Okay,
And
sounds good.
that's you and full, that's a picture of you and the lathe.
Okay, well, that's the most important, so you guys can actually see what I'm doing.
Yep, we got you.
Okay, so basically I've got the tree shape formed. Try and get rid of this little bump here. Again, what's really nice about making these kind of trees, you don't have to knock yourself out doing a bunch of sanding or whatever, because you're going to take a parting tool to it. Now, some folks would like to say they'd like to have all of their little parts on the tree, you know, exactly the same. But you know, all the time I've been out in the bush, I've never seen a tree that had branches that were exactly the same, so I don't sweat it. But what I do try and do is when I'm parting in, I'll start about a 1/4 inch down from the top, and I'll make it fairly thin. Then I'll move over, maybe another 1/4 inch, and I'll part in. But I won't go in quite as far as the first one. And what I'm trying to aim for is that each part of the stem gets a little bit thicker as I'm coming out, as I'm coming down. And when I get to the fat part, then the little silhouette is a little bit fatter. And then when I get to go down in the bottom, I go in a little deeper. And it's really subtle, but it really looks cool. And lots of people will look at it and their eye will be drawn to it because it's not a straight line. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Does that show up as a silhouette in the camera?
Not really, sir.
Not really? Okay, well, I can see it pretty well here, but then I get to this point, I just fold over a piece of sandpaper and just touch each one of these grooves so the sharp edges are gone. And when I part it off so that I'm on an angle kind of undercut a little bit. And again, that's how long it took to make that. And if you're at a maker space and you're making a little Christmas ornament, that you want to hand out to somebody, that's quick and easy. And I leave the indentation from the tailstock in the end so that I can put a little tiny eyelet in, so I can hang a wire on it and hang it on a tree. And so that's quick and easy. And these ones also sell for about 15 bucks. So just about anything that sells on the lathe that's quick and easy is a $15 bill. And if you put a little bit more effort into maybe painting and putting some decoration on it, it just keeps adding to it. The candles or the lanterns that I sell, well, I really don't make these for sale, but I've had a couple of pretty good friends or small businesses that have asked me specifically because they want to give them away for Christmas presents at their Christmas party. So I tell them I sell them to them for wholesale at $15, but in a market they'll go for $30. So yeah, and they don't take me long. They take me about 45 minutes. But when I'm making these, I usually make them in batches of 10 or 15. So each process, it doesn't take very long to batch out a whole bunch of blanks. Then the next day I can do the drilling, and the next day I can put the lanterns in. So that's 2 projects, quick and easy. How are we doing for time?
Doing fine, thank you.
Okay.
What's these?
This particular one is, I believe this is poplar. I normally make them out of oak, or this one here is hard maple. I've made them out of walnut, and the walnut doesn't seem to turn as good for something like this. It's almost too soft. It doesn't take the parting lines as good, but it just seems like it's a little softer hardwood, and because it's dark, it's a little harder to see the silhouette. But you can make them out of anything. You can make the ones I practice with pine.
What kind of pointing tool are you using there? It's sure sharp.
This one here is the high-speed steel. It's Robert Sorby high-speed steel. Yeah. It's 1/16. And the other parting tool I use is a crown tool, and I think it's 1/4 inch. And it's for the more robust and more aggressive cutting. But I like this for making ornaments because it is sharp, and it's high-speed steel, and it works great.
Is it fluted?
No, it isn't. It's just a straight bar, a straight flat bar. It's about 1 1/4 inch thick this way and a 1/16 this way. But I grind a long relief on one side and a short relief on the other, and I found that angle, I think the included angle on here is probably like 15 degrees or something like that, and it makes it really sharp. You have to go back to the either hone it or I don't use a grinder. I use a what they call a Pro Edge belt.
Right.
So it gives me a flat edge here and a flat edge here. And for some reason, I found that that seems to last longer. I used to use a CBN, and it would give me a concave on both sides, and it worked, but the edge didn't last as long. Since I went to the linisher, the edge seems to last longer. So I'm not sure. I'm not a metallurgist and don't care why. It just works, and that's what I do.
Thank you.
Sometimes you just got to keep it simple. Okay. Here's the other blank. We'll see now. This one will take a little bit longer because we're making a little bell. So there'll be a couple of pieces involved, but we should still be able to comfortably get this done. What time have you got there? I got 9:45 here, so it's 10:45 your time. Okay. So now there again, this is going to be the bell. So the first thing I'm going to do now that I've got it roughed out, I'll take a skew and I'll make the outside the shape that I want it.
What are the dimensions?
This one is roughly, I started out with about a 2-inch square. So it's a little less than 2 inches. But that's variable because once you've got it round, that just determines the size of your bell. If it's bigger wood, you have a little bigger bell. So I just straightened the edge off. And then I'm just going to get this down to round so that it's perfectly round. I got to raise my.
You notice he uses the skew a lot.
I love using a skew. So now I can decide how long I want the bell. Typically, sometimes you'll go like about there. I mean, whether it's an inch, inch and a half, I just pick whatever I think looks good for the piece of wood I got. And that's going to be the top of the bell. And then I like to shape the bell with the skew. And then I like to put a V groove in here. And with a V groove, I'll take my wire burner and put a burn groove on here. And the reason I do that will be obvious here pretty shortly. So now I'm getting the basic shape of the bell. Whoops, there's a catch. Didn't want that to happen, but can't have a demo without a catch.
That's a fact.
Especially when you're using a skew to do a cove. Well, I'm just going to stop and take a look and see how bad that catch was. Doesn't feel bad, but well, it looks like I got it cleaned up. So that's getting to be a bit of a bell shape. I think I'm going to make this cove a little, oops, that was a little rougher. I like to have a little bit more of a, I like to have this part here a little bit curved here and then a straight before I get to the top. So this is where the skew practice for making a cove is a lot of fun. And as you can tell, you don't worry about having a catch or two because it's such a small piece of wood that if it screws up, you just get another piece of wood. I'm gonna re-burn that line in there. Now again, this piece of wood in here is probably big enough I can make 2 bells out of it. So that'll be the first bell. And just because I'm here, I might as well rough out the other one. So in case I decide to make another one, I can, or if we have time, we can make 2. And again, when I'm working with a skew towards the chuck, I like to put in a bit of a V groove relief so that if I'm coming across here with a skew and it gets to the end and it jumps forward, it hits wood, not the steel.
It's more exciting hitting the steel.
High-speed steel will actually cut your jaws. I've done that where I actually hit the jaws and took a chunk out with.
Sure will.
Yeah. I'm not going to worry about facing this right off to the center because I'm going to take it off with when I hollow it anyhow. And again, I don't know how many of you guys have tried using a skew to make coves, but it takes a while to learn how to do it. But it's really gratifying because you don't end up with any of the little humps and bumps that you get up with when you use spindle gouge. But you do have a lot more catches if you don't pay attention. But that's half the fun. There we go. Well, seeing as how that one's in the chuck, we might as well just continue on making that one the bell.
Have you burned
So
it
you
yet?
can use. Yep,
Did you burn it?
Yeah, he did.
I can hear you. What was the question?
I said, did you burn it? Did you put the burn ring on
Oh, I
it?
didn't burn. I put the groove on it. I didn't burn it. Thank you. I could see the groove, but yeah, the burn probably will. The burn mark does 2 things. It makes it so it's easier for you to see, but more importantly, when you heat up wood, the burning action actually melts. It actually melts the lignin in the wood and hardens that like a resin. So now, if that's size on a chuck, you can put it in a chuck and you won't see the chuck marks because the wood's actually harder in the block spot than it is on the rest of the wood.
Very
And
good.
I'm going to try and I'm gonna try and do a Richard Raffin back hollowing thing. This can get exciting sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna pass on that.
Good choice, good
Yeah,
choice.
good, yeah. I don't want to launch it. I like to check and see how deep I've hollowed it. So I just use the pencil and grab it with my fingers, and it looks like we're about there. So I think that's not too bad for shape. And the wall thickness is about between a 16th and 3/32. And it's nice to have it thin enough so that if you have a little bit of a clapper in there and you wiggle it, it'll make a little bit of noise. Typically, it doesn't make a lot of noise on a wooden bell, but if it's movable, people like to see that. So I got two choices now. I could either part this off the way it is, or I can just turn it around in the chuck and take really, really light cuts and get rid of that big honking piece of whatever. Now, if this won't grab perfect circle, we'll see. I've got a 1/16 of an inch. This one's a little smaller. It's not grabbing on the burn line. It's actually bottomed out on the dovetail, and so we're going to try it. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. But when you're doing it this way, this is a fairly big piece of waste material to get off with a really, really light hold. So I have to make sure I don't get too aggressive. And if I get too aggressive, I guess you'll be the first to see it. And then this way, I'm always pushing in towards the chuck. Some people would like to come this way and get it off. But if you're doing that, you're actually trying to pull the bell out of the chuck. So by doing it this way,
Yeah.
if it flips out, it just flips out in my hand. Anyway, that was the whole idea, was to show that it I would have parted it off and used a less aggressive approach. And so I'm just switching to a little smaller chuck because the other chuck with standard jaws was just a little bit too big. But this one here has got dovetails as well. And I rotate it a little bit to make sure it's in the groove. And this doesn't have to be super tight. It just has to, because it's almost perfect circle, it's holding really, really well. And because I've already taken most of the waste off, what I've got left here is, did I hollow this one?
Yes.
I hollowed the other one. No, I didn't hollow this one.
Oh, I thought they're the same one.
Oh, no, this is going to be interesting. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do here. We're gonna cheat. So this is you guys are seeing the real world. This happens to me once in a while when I have a brain fart. I'm trying to hurry, and sometimes when you hurry, things don't go well. But I can always recover, or I always think I can. So we're gonna recover this one.
Yeah, you're being human.
That's right. And some people might notice that I've got 3 chucks that are pretty much the right size for working with ornaments. So you might get the idea that I might have had to do this once before. And you'd be right. Again, when I'm doing these in batches, I would end up making a bunch of blanks that are just 1 bell long. And then my process is to turn it around, turn it around, turn the outside, hollow it, and then spin it around and finish the top off. But when you don't do that, you have to come up with another way of, I don't want to throw the wood away. Even though it's a small piece of wood, It's got some of my time invested in it. I don't want to throw it away.
Exactly. Plus, it's more fun figuring out a way to make it work.
Say again?
I said it's more fun figuring out a way to make it work.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what tools are you using in the hollow?
This squeal's a little loud. I don't know if you can hear the squeal. I can, but I don't know if
Nope.
you can.
Not here at all.
Okay, my microphone has a really good noise canceling function on it. And so a lot of times I've had people say when they watch the demo that they can't hear it. They can't hear the lathe. And I said, oh well, I guess that's just the way my camera is. So I would generally sand it at this point if I was going to sand it to whatever. And I very seldom take any of my Christmas ornaments sanding up past about 220. For the length of time they see the daylight, 220 is nice and smooth. And if you put a lacquer finish on it, they look really nice. And most people aren't feeling the ornaments to see how smooth they are anyhow. This little chuck is a record power SC2. And I didn't know whether I was going to like it much on a big lathe. I have to use a 1-inch adapter to mount it. But I have found that it is the sweetest little chuck for doing these little things. It's got all of the design characteristics of a big chuck. Nice and strong and heavy metal, has a really good gripping function. And it just works. So we can't beat success the way I look at it. I like it. So now we're back to where I should have been before we discovered the mistake. And that's another reason, I guess, why I leave this a little bit long, so that if I have to modify it, I've got enough material to modify. Is that the right angle for you guys to see that?
Yep.
Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to finish shaping the top of the bell. I like to get a center mark on that bell so I know exactly where to drill. So I just run my tailstock up and that gives me a starting point. And then I'll take slow the drill down. And I drill these by hand. This is a quarter inch drill just in a wooden handle. And I'll just kind of line it up. And I'm only going to go in 1/4 inch or so. So that gives me the 1/4 inch depth that I need for the handle. I'll make that a little bit deeper just for shits and giggles. And then in order to hang the clapper, I use a piece of leather that's about this thick, 1/8 of an inch or so. And I just run that hole all the way through. So I got a 1/4 inch hole on the outside and an 1/8 inch hole through hole. And that's so when I hang the clapper on it, I can put a piece of leather. You could put a piece of leather through the bell. It's like I would sand it at this point. If I was going to finish this bell, I'd be sanding it. So the bell body basically is done. And you can see the piece of leather goes through here. We'll make a little ball. We'll glue it onto the leather. Then we pull the ball back up into the body of the bell, cut it off, and then pull the ball back down so the leather just fills the hole. And we'll CA glue the handle in it. So making the ball is just see what piece of wood I had here. I had a little chunk of wood for doing that. That's a pretty big piece of wood to make a little ball out of, but it just happened to be an offcut off of one of the other projects. So basically it would end up in the fire pit. So I might as well make the ball out of it for the time it takes. And I need a place to drill a hole. So that lines up a hole in the center. Turn the lathe down. Use my 1/8 inch bit and just punch a hole in there. That'll be for the leather. This is great practice for making small spheres, but they don't have to be perfect, but it gives you lots of practice at making small spheres. And now you know why I have a piece of paper towel underneath my chuck. I'll have to make another one here. Success. I didn't know if I was going to be able to catch that. What I do now is I would just put a spot of thick CA in the ball, and we'll run the leather through it. It's not thick, it's medium CA. And it doesn't take much. And we run this leather through there. And the thick CA takes a second or two for it to hold its shape. Then we pull this back. Pull it back in until it's a little bit below the edge of the bell. And I put another dab of medium thick CA in here. And then if I have to adjust the bell, I can pull it back in a little bit. And I'll take a pair of scissors and we'll just snip this off. And we can poke the leather down in there a little bit. Then we make a handle. And again, to make a handle, I just grab a little piece of oak here and I'll grab it in a spigot chuck, I believe. How are we doing for time?
Doing fine, thank you. We got about another 25 minutes, 30 minutes.
Oh, okay, great. That's fantastic. I'm rushing through a little bit, so I'm sometimes I don't know if I forget things or not, but
So far, it's been outstanding.
okay, well, that's good. Now, this might not be perfectly centered, but it really doesn't matter because I'm going to make it round, and it'll be round when I make the handle part will be round, and that's the most important. So I'll take a little tiny spindle roughing gouge and we'll just rough it around first, and then we'll take a skew and we'll shape it. We're gonna make a 1/4 inch spigot on here. And here's what I use to make a 1/4 inch spigot with. This is just a little 1/4 inch wrench that I mounted in a handle, and I sharpened this side. This one edge has been ground, and what it does, it allows me to set the bottom jaw up against the wood, and the top jaw cuts a perfect 1/4 inch tenon, which just makes it quick and easy to test on the bell. It's a 1/4 inch hole, and that's a 1/4 inch tenon. And looks like the leather is hardened up a little bit, but there it goes. So that fits on there perfectly. And now we'll just shape the top of the handle. Again, I like using a skew for a lot of this small work. It's just good practice. I don't know if you can notice it. I'm not using my arms, I'm using my body. I've got my skew handle stuck in my belly, and I'm swinging my hips to get the point of the skew to do the cove. And I'm only cutting on the bottom quarter of the width of the skew, so the chips are coming off in the bottom corner. So there's a handle. But oh, the handle's a little bit, I should have taken a look at the flare on here and made it a little bit smaller than what the bell is. What I normally try and do is I try and blend that little bumper bell and blend it into the handle. So once I glue this on, I could still do that. I could take the bell, grab it from the front end here, and after the glue is set, I could go ahead and do a little bit more refining on the handle if I needed to. Normally, I take the time to make this small enough that it just fits on the side of the bell. And I'm in a bit of a hurry today, so I forgot that point.
We'll
But
forgive you.
okay. Well, again, it's the real world, so I don't know how many of these I've made. For my friends and family, I started making a unique Christmas ornament every year. And my friends and family group has grown from 25 to 30 to last year it was 85. And when I made these these lantern or the bell ornaments, I think I was up to around 60. But with the lanterns and the candles, they were like I say, the candles I probably made almost 200 of those. But like I say, my dedicated friends and family group has grown to 85 people, so it's a lot of fun. But there's a Christmas ornament. Whoops, the glue didn't set yet, so I'm getting in a bit of a hurry. But when I want to set the CA glue, I just use some activator, and that'll set it. There we go. You probably can't hear it because my sound
No.
canceling will cancel, but take my word for it, you can hear the little bell rattling back and forth. And there's the bell. So there's the bell. There's the disc Christmas ornament. And there's the little Christmas silhouette. I call it my silhouette tree. 3 quick and easy projects that lend themselves to doing it in front of a crowd, where when you're done, you can actually hand it to somebody. And it's amazing the smile on their face when they actually get something, they can see it being handmade. It's really rewarding, or I really enjoy it.
You put a
And
hanger
so I
on the
guess,
bell.
say
Do you
again?
do you put a hanger on your bells?
I do so, and I'll show you what I use there too. I've got the stuff here set up, so I don't know which view would be the best on there. You can see this, or is that better?
That's good.
Okay, so one of our local stores has these little tiny eyelets. I think they're 3 millimeter.
Right, yep.
Yeah, closed loop. But they're so tiny. A lot of people will say even with that tiny loop, you should just be able to screw it into a piece of wood. But what I found is I end up with about a 50% failure rate if I just screw it in the wood.
Twist it off, yeah.
I twist it off, whatever. And so I've got the drill bit that I use is the right size. And in case I break the drill bit, I've taped the second one to the underside of the lid. So I don't have to go looking for a drill bit when I'm doing these. Now I'm not sure, can you still see what I'm doing here?
Yes, sir.
So I just kind of line this one doesn't have a divot in, so I just kind of line it up. And that's all it takes. And just a little bit of a twist and twist in. And there's an eyelet. And then one of the things I found that when I'm doing these ornaments, I like to hang them with a piece of light fluorescent colored string. But I find that my fingers are not as nimble as they used to be. So I'll put a chunk of string in here. And I'm stumble bumming around with like I said, I'm not as nimble as I used to be, but we'll snip it off. And then to tie the knot, I just kind of get the ends a little bit evened up. And then I discovered these. These are forceps. And so I grabbed the ends of the threads with forceps. Now that holds it really good. And I don't know if we can, might be better to show it onto this one. You might be able, or even this one might be easier. So I've got this hanging on the forceps. I can twist the string and stick the threads through the loop. So now I've twisted the string and I got it twisted through the loop. I can grab the ends again, roll the knot down, and then I have a nice little string.
I like that. That's nifty.
Yeah, this is one of the things, a friend of mine, he passed away now, but this is one of the things that he introduced me to. And before he passed away, he gave me all of his old forceps. So I got 3 or 4 sets. And he said that's what he used because his fingers were like mine. They get a little arthritic and you have trouble tying a real small knot. But with one of these, you can tie these knots all day long and it doesn't bother you a bit. So it'd be the same on the Christmas tree ornament. First thing you do is drill a hole. And put the eyelet in. I've got the eyelets brass and the silver or nickel. And I found that the brass ones look better on walnut, and the light colored ones or the nickel ones seem to look better on light wood. I don't know, that's just me. I've never done any scientific research on it, but what I have found though is that anybody that's ever got one of these to hang on their Christmas tree, they've never complained. They've never ever said one way or the other. So here, I'll try and do this again under this camera. So I got it hanging here. I just grab it with my fingers, spin it around, poke the forceps through the loop, and then I can grab the loose ends of the thread. And then when I've got the loose ends of the threads, I can just work the knot back down, tighten it up. And there we go. So that gives us a Christmas ornament. You can hang it on a stand. And we're good to go. Any other questions?
How cold is it? Any snow on the ground?
How cold
Say
is
again?
how cold is it? And is there any snow on the ground?
There's no snow on the ground, and yesterday I think it was around 20 degrees Celsius, so that'd be about 70 Fahrenheit.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, it's nice. We're having a real nice fall day. We don't get cold weather probably until end of September. It starts freezing at night, but not too bad. I think last night it was down around it went around about 5 or 6 degrees at night, but it warms up in the daytime.
That's a
We,
homemade stand.
yeah.
Pardon me?
Homemade instrument, I mean, homemade, with an ornament stand.
Ornament stand, did you make your ornament stand?
Yes, I do, and I'm glad you asked. That's you probably recognize it's an Ashley I think Ashley Harwood was the original designer of the stands that she made. But I found the stands that she made were they were great for sea urchins, but some of my ornaments weigh almost an ounce. And especially with the lanterns, they're an ounce or a little better, and they're heavy enough that on the original stand that she made, they weren't big enough and they'd fall over. So I make this stand, and I also make a lead insert. I drill a 3/4 inch hole in the center when I'm making these, so that after I cut them off on an angle, I can fill the 3/4 inch hole with little lead discs. I melt fishing weights down and put them in a mold and get them 3/4 of an inch in diameter. And so I fill this base piece with lead, and then I make a decorative disc, which gives me a little bigger footprint, and it's a contrasting wood. And you have a hard time knocking this thing over. Like, you know, it can swing around a lot.
It looks nice.
Yeah, and that's what I found too. Some people say, well, especially with these lanterns, some of the people that I've been giving them to are shut-ins, and they don't have room for a Christmas tree. And
Right?
so they like the Christmas tree ornaments, but they don't have a tree, and they like to look at them all year round, because if they're shut in and don't have a lot of interaction, they just like pretty things. Well, this kind of a stand, they can set it on if they're in a hospital bed, they can stand it on their little table and it's something to look at. And these particular ones, being their timed tea lights, they stay on for 6 hours and turn off and then come back on the next day after 18 hours. Well, I tested one of these. We turned it on December 25th, and in June 1st, it was still coming on. You could barely see it, but it was still coming on every day. So that's 6 months. So that somebody sitting in a hospital bed or something for 3 or 4 months or 3 or 4 days, they can turn it on and leave it on and not have to worry about a battery. It'll last for months.
Very nice.
Yeah. Making these stands is a demonstration in itself. When I make these, I do the work on the lathe, and then I move over to my bandsaw and I built a jig to cut it off. And then I've got another camera set up where I fill it full of lead, and then I make these discs. These discs are a little less than 1/4 of an inch thick, but they started out as a board, a 3/4 inch board. And so out of every board that's 2.5 inches in diameter, I get 2 of these discs, because I turn the bottom end, and then I grab that bottom end in a recess, turn it around in a lathe, put a recess on the other side, and then I part them off. So I end up with 2 discs for every little blank.
Now, how much of a back angle you got on that?
This one's 20 degrees.
20?
20, yeah. I did both 15 and 20, and depending on the length of the string, this one here hangs nicer. It's a fairly long ornament, but it hangs nicely on the center line. This string is a little bit longer, so it kind of almost bumps into the base. So a 15 degree would probably give you a little more, but I standardize on 20 degrees because it just seems to look good. I
Yes.
make my own wire loops. This is just number 12 copper wire. You grab it in a drill and spin it, and it work hardens it and makes a real stiff rod. And then I've shaped that around a form to get the loop.
Yeah.
So I try to make things that I can make all the parts myself. Some folks would like to, they'll buy nice stands, and there's nothing wrong with buying the inexpensive metal stands. They're quick and easy. But when I give somebody something, I like to say, well, I had something to do with every part of that, except for the lanterns, where I had to buy the lantern or the tea light. But they seem to appreciate a little bit of handwork.
Any other questions?
Asking, is that a skew wound on his finger?
What's that?
Is that a skew wound on your finger?
No, actually, that what happened last night at a club meeting. I was picking up all my tools and putting them back in my toolbox, and I happened to jam it against the chuck, sharp edge on the chuck. Just yeah, it was just it didn't hurt much. It's one of those things. Yeah, I guess I should probably make sure I don't have band-aids on when I'm doing a demo. Okay, and I guess with that, that's about all I had. So
That's about it, and it wound up just right on time.
Where do we,
Thank you.
where
very
do we
much.
find his other demonstrations online?
well, if you look on my channel, Bert Delisle, if you let's see, where is that one? I can there, no, not there. Yeah, there it is. There's my name. If you look up Bert Delisle on YouTube, I've got I don't know how many videos I've got. I've been making videos for a number of years. Just I make them more for my own because I've got a really good memory. It's just really short. So when I want to make when I want to make something that I haven't made for a while, I have to go back and watch my own video because I can't remember what it was. And one of the other things I've got here, though, I'll make sure I get into the into my recording is I did a program layout. This again, I don't have the paper in front of me, but I'm putting it up on the screen here so that it'll be on my recording. And that's page 1. And that's page 2. And what this does is it goes through all of the steps that I did to make what I made today. And I'll have that. That'll be on the video when I post this one up to my channel. This will be in there. So if somebody wants to read it, they can, pause the video and they can read it or take a copy of it.
Would you mind if we posted it to our website?
Not at all. Like I say, I'm going to make it and I'll post it to my site. And then if you want to post it to your site, just grab a link and yeah, go ahead and do that.
Okay. I was talking about the attack. If I took a screenshot of your document.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So when I'm posting the stuff like this, it's for information, and if it helps somebody do something, have some fun, then I'm all for that. I think we got to share stuff. I'm getting too old to try and hide everything. I want everybody to know what I do. And I'll do one more thing for you guys. I'll sweep up the sawdust for you, so you don't have to.
Oh, come on. If you just let Dick know whenever when you got it posted, and then he can get it out, then get it out in email so people can take another look at it if they need to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I will do that. I'll send a link. Well, I think I got 3 contact names for you guys. So I'll all 3 of those. I'll send the link to all 3 of you so you can distribute it to whoever you want.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thanks. It was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Very much so.
Okay. Okay. Until the next time. Like I say, take a look at my channel. If you like what you see, subscribe. It only takes a second to subscribe.
Yeah.
And then,
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
I'm the treasurer.
Hey,
Okay.
just a minute. Just a minute.
Yeah.
Steve
Right here,
here,
right here.
right here. I'm the treasurer. So I'll be mailing your check to your address. Ed
Okay.
Rose gave it to me. Okay, so anything else? I mean, I'll send it international mail. It
Yeah.
should
Well,
get to you
yeah.
fine. It'll be a regular American check,
Yeah. Well, that's what we agreed on. So
Yeah.
that's fine. No, that's not a problem. That's great.
Shouldn't be up there.
Yeah. It'll.
Okay, well, just let me know
I will.
if there's any
Thank you.
problem.
The check may even clear. Just don't drop it. If you drop it, it's liable to bounce out the door.
I'll catch it on the rebound.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, then we're gonna sign out.
Okay. Thanks again. Take care.
Well, thank you.